Hello, everyone. I'm just giving everybody a moment to join, and then we'll get going. While we're waiting, I'm just going to start to share my screen. Okay, there we go. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about decision making. And we'll cover, like what a decision really is. Some reasons why we might have some challenges making them, right? I know myself and like most women that I talk to, this is an area where they really struggle. And then how to make it simpler, right? Like how to make it more intuitive and easier to make a decision. So I love this definition from my coach and mentor, Brooke Castillo. A decision is simply a commitment to a thought, feeling, and action that creates a result. And so, in other words, a committed action driven by a committed thought. Okay. Unfortunately, most of the decisions that we made in our childhood, okay, were given to us. So we were taught what to believe, what to think by our family, society, the media, at school, religion, right? All of these things. And so we didn't have the ability or the capacity when we were children to question any of it, right? So we just take on the beliefs or these decisions without even realizing it. And then as we get older, we don't realize that we now have the ability and the capacity to change them, right? So we can question all of these kind of pre-wired decisions to decide if we still want to have them. And understand that we have the power to make new decisions based on what we want to think and believe. Okay. So this leads us, when we do this, right? When we just kind of like hold on to past decisions, past beliefs that were given to us, taught to us when we were children without questioning them, it leads us to leading our lives based on what we should do and think instead of what we want or what we desire. Okay. So, but we can start to question, right? Like I said, we can start to question why we are making the decisions we are and what it means to us individually to live an extraordinary life. So as we continue in this masterclass, I really want you to consider these three things that you see up on the screen. And we're going to talk about each one of these separately. But the first one is everything is optional, right? There is nothing you have to do. The second one is that there are no right or wrong decisions. And the third is the more conscious decisions you make, the more power you have. So let's talk about everything is optional. So there is nothing in your life that you have to do. There are just consequences for not doing something or for doing something, right? But everything is optional. So when we say things like, I have to do, insert whatever it is, XYZ, it makes us feel, it makes me feel kind of heavy. It comes with this feeling of like, I don't really want to, or this isn't something that I like. And so I want you to try to reframe those things as I want to. So if we look at an example, when you say something like, I have no time for myself because I have to take care of my kids, right? I've got to pick them up from school. I have to make dinner. I have to help them with homework, bath them, feed them, all of these things. Consider how that makes you feel, right? When you've just said, I have no time for myself because I have to take care of my kids. It makes it feel like a duty, right? It makes it feel like just one more thing we've got to check off that keeps us from doing things we really want to. But I want you to consider the fact that you don't have to do any of those things. Okay. You don't have to take care of your kids. And in fact, many parents don't, right? When I talk to clients about what this really comes down to for them, it is that they want to take care of their children, right? When I present them the option that you don't have to do this, they really will start to talk in a different way. Like, well, okay, but they're my children. I love them. Okay, so you want to take care of them. Just making this small shift will change how you feel because it puts you back in control, right? So you are making a conscious decision to take care of your children, right? It's not being forced upon you. And for those things that you really don't want to do, excuse me, you can redecide, right? You can remake that decision. And we'll talk about how to do that after we discuss the other two concepts. So the next one is there are no right or wrong decisions. And the reason why this is so important is because the concept of right or wrong does not exist outside of your thoughts, right? Does not exist somewhere out there in the world. You decide what is right or wrong based on your thoughts, based on your beliefs. So even if you believe, say, a particular religion or in some type of human right, it's still just a belief, right? That you've chosen to commit to. It's not going to be true for everyone. And this is important to understand because it means you can redecide, right? What is right or wrong for you at any moment in your life. And this is what keeps you growing and evolving. So what might have been right for you 10 years ago, or when you were a child, may no longer serve you, right? It may no longer be right for you. And when you're trying to make a decision, the easiest way to find out what you really want is to ask yourself, if both options result in me being happy and successful, which one do I want? And the reason we ask this question is because it really is true that no matter what decision you make, you can be happy, right? Happiness is in your control. Happiness is generated based on the thoughts you think. And so this takes out the back and forth that we go through when we're trying to make a decision based on the assumption that one will be right and one will be wrong. Instead, assume that there is no right or wrong. Assume that both can work out because you are in control of how you respond, right, to situations, circumstances that happen in your life. You are in charge of how you feel through the thoughts you think. And so if both can be good, right? If both could be right for you, which one do you desire? Okay. If you make a commitment to a decision and a commitment to making the best out of it, no matter what, that is what will make you happy. Okay. Not the actual decision. And the third and final thing is that conscious decisions are powerful. So most of us are actually making unconscious automatic decisions every day. They're just going and going and going in our head. And a lot of them are unwanted, right? These decisions that our brain is making for us every day are, like I said, repeated, and they will often feel like they happen against your own will. Some of these will be good decisions, right? Of course, but some are negative. And like I said, don't serve you anymore at this time in your life. And we don't acknowledge that they're optional, right? Again, going back to what I just said, we feel like they are happening to us against our own will, right? I'm just this way. This is just the way things are. I don't have enough time or money. All of these things that we just accept, that we just think are not optional, really are optional, right? And so it's just crazy that we live our lives as if this is just who we are and this is just how things are. But we can change them if we want to, right? And the more conscious decisions you make, right, the better. Conscious decisions mean you are creating your life intentionally and on purpose. So you can completely change your life by changing daily decisions that affect how you live. So let's talk about these three things in terms of how to actually implement them. And the first thing I want to talk about is how to redecide. So this would be looking at decisions that you've made in your life. So maybe it's like the job you have, the marriage you're in, your health, right? Other relationships that you have. I don't know if I said this already, but like where you live. And doing an evaluation on those to redecide if they are things you want or things you think you should want or should do. Okay. So get really honest with yourself here. Change is very, very scary for the brain, right? Because if you are going to change, you are committing to taking action, right? You are committing to doing something new, something different, and the brain doesn't like that. Remember that it wants to stay comfortable. It wants familiarity. It wants easy and efficient, okay? But one simple redecision can completely transform your life. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to redecide. I just want you to know that you have the option. Okay, so you don't have to go out and switch your job or move cities or get a divorce. I just want you to know that it's possible for you to look at these maybe like once a year, twice a year, and just reevaluate. Like, do I still want this thing? Right? Or am I living in should? Okay, so once you've kind of done this evaluation, and let's say you've decided there's something you want to redecide, right? There's something you'd like to change. And let's say maybe it's the way you, sorry, it's where you live. Okay. Ask yourself the question that we talked about earlier. Like, make the assumption that there's no right decision, right? It's not right if you stay living where you are, it's not right if you move somewhere else. Make the assumption that you can be happy no matter what. And then ask yourself, what do you want? You can also ask yourself things like, what sounds like the most fun? What sounds adventurous? What will evolve or grow me the most? And I really like these questions because it's about the person that you will become if you make that decision. Okay. And step 3 can really be used either as an additional step, excuse me, or like a quality check on step number 2, or you can use step 2 or step 3. You don't have to do both of these. But in step 3, you're going to analyze your reasons for making a decision or not. Okay. Here's how it works. Using the same example of deciding whether or not you want to continue living where you are or move to a new city. You would put the decision of living where you are on one side of a page and the decision of moving to a new city on the other. And then just start writing your reasons down for choosing each one. Okay. When you're done and you've got all your decisions or all your reasons, on each side, look at those reasons and decide which ones you like. Okay. And the way I like to do this is anywhere where I see fear creep up, I don't like my decision. So, for example, if under the column of stay living where I am, my reasons are things like it's easy here. I know a lot of people. I know how to get around the city, right? It's comfortable. It's safe. All of these things. Those aren't reasons that I like, right? Those are reasons that I feel are based in fear and that might hold me back from growing and evolving. So this is super helpful in making any decision because you're getting really honest with yourself and you're seeing the reasons why you might not be choosing something different. Excuse me. And a lot of times it is because of fear. And I want to challenge you to like your reasons and for those reasons to be based in growth and adventure and challenge. Okay. Before I move on to this one, actually, what I want to say is I gave you kind of the steps to redeciding, right? Things that maybe you already have in your life, you've already decided on jobs, relationships, where you live, and you're reevaluating and redeciding. But the same process can be used when you're making a brand new decision, okay? You just don't need to evaluate because you've never made this decision before. You just want to move to step 2 and or 3. So any decision you have to make, you can just really ask yourself, no matter what, if I know it's going to turn out, right? If I know that I can be happy, what do I want? And do I like my reasons for making this decision? Okay. Some things to watch out for. The first one is confusion. Very easy to slip into because the brain, like I said, will not like it when you try to redecide or make a new decision or to make a decision that pushes you outside of your comfort zone, right? It will try to spin you into confusion. It will tell you you don't know. It will tell you that you'll start bouncing back and forth. You'll know you're in confusion because you'll do things like over here in this decision, there's all these pros. Oh, but then there's this con. Okay, go over here to this decision. Oh yeah, see all the good things about this decision? Oh, but then this might happen. And then it'll bounce you back and it'll just keep bouncing you back and forth, right? Confusion is what we call an indulgent emotion. We indulge in it. We allow it to continue happening because it keeps us from having to take action. Okay? It's very normal. It is just a human thing. It's our brain is doing it to keep us safe. But just notice, right? It's not effective. It's not efficient, right? Confusion never resolves anything. Thinking more and more about something doesn't help you make the decision. So keep it simple, right? Evaluate your current decision, make a new one based on the assumption that it will work out no matter what, and decide what you want. Okay, the second thing to watch out for is a desire to feel good. Okay, so what I mean by this is some decisions that we make or that we have to make or that we want to make, let's catch myself there, are not going to feel good. And I'll give you an example. I listened to this woman being coached a few weeks ago, and she had to decide whether or not to travel to a family member's funeral during the pandemic or not. And of course, the one decision to stay home, kind of like protect herself and her family from the virus, that felt good. But she really felt guilty, right, for not traveling. And she really did want to go and grieve and celebrate the life of this person with her family. Okay, so making the decision to stay home didn't really feel good. Excuse me. But on the other hand, making the decision to go, while she would get to connect with her family and grieve and celebrate this person's life, she would be worried the whole time. She'd be worried that she, maybe picked the virus up and now was passing it on to people in her family, or that she was going to bring it home to her children and her husband. So that side didn't feel very good either, right? And this desire to make a decision that made her feel good was keeping her from being able to decide. Okay, so sometimes it's just not going to feel really good. So you want to go back again to deciding what it is you want and do you like your reasons? Which decision in this case was going, did she like better? How did she want to show up as a person for her family at home and for her family that was going to be having the funeral, right? So I just want you to be aware of the desire to feel good, because that will also spin you into confusion and make it really hard. Just really look at your reasons and get honest with yourself and be like, which reasons do I like the best? Okay. So before we close out here, I'm just going to do some quick reminders. Everything is optional. We don't have to do anything. Okay. There are just consequences. And so then we decide what we want to do based on those consequences. There are no right decisions, right? Right and wrong do not exist outside of you. They are determined by you, by your beliefs, and by your thoughts. And so any decision can be right if you make the commitment. And the third thing is, again, conscious decision making is so powerful. You want to be doing it on a daily basis because this is how you create an intentional, purposeful life, right? Otherwise, your brain will do it for you. It will be unintentional, automatic, and it will make you feel like sometimes things are going against your own will, right? Against your own desires, but you have total control. So you can completely change, right? Again, your entire life by changing those daily decisions you make. And I actually don't want to say by changing the daily decisions you make, by being conscious of, right? By being aware of where you have choice, where you have options, and then deciding consciously what you want to do instead of leaving it up to your brain to just run on those automatic beliefs and decisions that were made for you back when you were a child. Okay. So that is what I have for you today on decision making. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm always available. You know, I love to chat about this stuff. And I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and keep talking to you guys. Our next masterclass is next Thursday. So I believe that is December 8th at 11 a.m. Central. I hope to see you there. I will be sending the replay out to this in just a few moments. And actually the replay to the previous masterclass, because I miss sending it out. So I'm sorry about that, but it is coming to you right away here along with this one. Have a wonderful rest of the week. I am getting ready to decorate the house for Christmas. So I'm so excited, and I will see you guys next week.